She's back. The woman who made a simple glance feel like thunder. The woman who turned silence into the sharpest weapon. And now, after almost 2 decades, Miranda Priestly is rumored to return to the big screen. The Devil Wears Prada 2 isn't just a sequel. It's a cultural comeback. Fans across the world are asking the same question. What new battles will unfold in the kingdom of fashion, and who will survive under Miranda's icy stare? When The Devil Wears Prada first hit theaters in 2006, it wasn't just a movie, it became a phenomenon. The story of Andy Sachs, a young woman desperate to prove herself, colliding headfirst with the unstoppable force of Miranda Priestly, took audiences by storm. Every scene dripped with style, power, and the quiet cruelty of ambition. It wasn't only about clothes, it was about survival, sacrifice, and the cost of chasing success. Miranda Priestly, played with unforgettable perfection by Meryl Streep, instantly became an icon. Her cutting remarks, her calm authority, and her chilling delivery of lines like "that's all" or "florals" for spring, groundbreaking, carved her name into film history. Viewers were mesmerized by how little she raised her voice, yet how much power she carried with a single look. She wasn't just a character, she was a cultural archetype. A boss who demanded not just excellence but near impossible devotion. Then came Andy, portrayed by Anne Hathaway. She began as an outsider, awkward and lost in a world of high fashion, a world that seemed far beyond her reach. But through hard work, painful lessons, and a transformation both inside and out, Andy discovered her strength. She gained the confidence to stand tall, not just in designer heels but in her own sense of identity. Her journey was every young professional's nightmare and fantasy rolled into one. The dream opportunity that comes with a crushing price. Emily Blunt, in her breakout role as the snarky, desperate, and secretly vulnerable assistant Emily, added fire and humor to the story. She embodied the endless competition and the quiet heartbreak of working in an industry where one mistake could erase years of effort. Her biting one-liners and frantic energy gave the film a balance between sharp wit and human fragility. But what made The Devil Wears Prada unforgettable wasn't just the characters. It was how it captured the clash between two worlds. The brutal glamour of fashion and the real-life struggles of holding on to who you are. Viewers saw themselves in Andy, questioned their admiration of Miranda, and perhaps even recognized the Emilys of their own workplaces. The film asked a haunting question. How far would you go for success? And at what cost? The movie didn't just entertain, it influenced. Fashion trends shifted, with the film putting a global spotlight on designers, runways, and style as art. The dialogue became part of everyday culture, referenced in memes, quoted in offices, and studied in leadership debates. Professors analyzed Miranda's leadership style, while career coaches dissected Andy's moral choices. It was more than cinema. It was social commentary disguised in Prada heels. And for years, fans begged for more. Could there be another chapter? Would Miranda rise again with new challenges? Or would Andy's story continue in an even bigger, riskier world? Rumors swirled, but nothing came. Until now, nearly 20 years later, whispers of a sequel have exploded into full-blown headlines, and suddenly the fashion world is holding its breath again. It began as a whisper, nothing more than a rumor floating across film blogs and fashion magazines. But in Hollywood, whispers travel fast, and soon the impossible started to sound real. The Devil Wears Prada 2 was in development. For years, fans had begged for a sequel, but the studios stayed silent. Meryl Streep herself, when asked about returning as Miranda Priestly, would smile slyly and change the subject. Anne Hathaway, in interviews, often dismissed the idea, saying Andy's story had already been told, but the silence only fueled the desire, and now the silence has broken. The official word? The legendary fashion drama is coming back. After nearly 2 decades, the studio has given the green light for a sequel. And this isn't just another film. This is a cultural moment. Hollywood is betting big on nostalgia, but The Devil Wears Prada 2 is more than a sequel. It's the return of one of cinema's most iconic characters. In a world that has completely changed, fashion isn't what it was in 2006. The world isn't what it was in 2006. That makes the story sharper, riskier, and perhaps even darker. Industry insiders first caught wind of the sequel when casting calls quietly leaked online. Mentions of fashion executives, digital moguls, and a powerful woman in her 60s lit up forums. Was this Miranda? Could it be true? Days later, confirmation came in the form of an industry announcement. The original cast was in talks. Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci, and yes, Meryl Streep were all attached. The news spread like wildfire. Within hours, Devil Wears Prada 2 was trending across social media, with fans posting memes, rewatches, and endless speculation. But why now? Why after so long? The answer lies in timing. The original film thrived in an era of glossy magazines and runway shows that dictated style. Today, fashion is ruled by social media influencers, TikTok trends, and the digital marketplace. The clash between the old guard and the new generation is the perfect storm for drama. A sequel allows Miranda Priestly to step into this new battlefield, and let's be honest, who wouldn't want to see her dismantle the TikTok fashion scene with one cold glance? Studio executives are betting on that exact tension. They see the sequel as not just a film, but an event, a chance to bridge generations. Those who grew up quoting Miranda in their offices and those discovering the story for the first time through streaming services. In short, The Devil Wears Prada 2 has the power to dominate both nostalgia and novelty. Behind the scenes, the excitement is just as intense. Reports suggest the script has been in the works for years, passed quietly between writers until the right vision clicked. And when it did, it wasn't just about recreating the past, it was about reinventing it. This isn't going to be a rehash. It's not about repeating the jokes or retelling Andy's story. Instead, it's about evolution. Who has Miranda become? Where is Andy now? Has Emily risen higher than anyone expected? Those questions form the heart of the sequel. The announcement was followed by a storm of fan theories. Some believe Miranda will face the downfall of traditional fashion media, battling a new rival who thrives in the digital age. Others think Andy may return, no longer the naive assistant, but a woman with her own empire, perhaps even a competitor. And Emily? Many imagine her as Miranda's heir, only to discover that power comes at a cost she never expected. The sequel isn't just about characters, though. It's about capturing the cultural shift of our times. In 2006, the battle was print versus individuality. In 2025, it's legacy versus innovation. The announcement signals that The Devil Wears Prada 2 will lean into those shifts, making it more relevant than ever. And so, the fashion world braces itself. The return of Miranda Priestly isn't just a sequel, it's a reckoning. The devil is back and she's walking straight into a new kingdom. The streets of Paris don't stay quiet for long. Neither do the rooftops of Milan or the flashing sidewalks of New York. These cities, each a throne in the empire of fashion, have suddenly become battlegrounds once again. Reports have confirmed that filming for The Devil Wears Prada 2 has begun, and already the world is watching. It started with a single blurry photo, Meryl Streep, dressed in a tailored white coat, stepping out of a black car in the heart of Paris. The image was enough to send fans into a frenzy. Was this Miranda Priestly in her new era, or just a wardrobe fitting? Within hours, the photo went viral. Soon after, more pictures emerged. Cameras spotted Anne Hathaway on the streets of Milan, her look polished but modern, with sharp cuts and bold accessories that screamed transformation. Was Andy Sachs no longer the shy assistant? Was she stepping into her own power now? The questions spread faster than the photos themselves. But behind the glamour of street shots lies the real intrigue: the sets. Sources close to the production revealed that the sequel is embracing a far bigger canvas. While the original film was largely confined to the icy offices of Runway magazine and the chaos of New York Fashion Week, the sequel is going global. Entire runways are being rebuilt in secret soundstages. Fashion houses have reportedly lent real designs to the production, making this not just a film, but a showcase of the industry's most daring creations. The world's most elite designers want their work seen in The Devil Wears Prada 2, and that says everything about the cultural power this movie still holds. Then there are the new faces. Casting calls hinted at digital disruptors, social media moguls, and tech entrepreneurs with fashion empires. This tells us the story won't just revisit the old battles. It's moving into today's wars. Luxury brands clashing with fast fashion, runway couture against viral content, timeless tradition versus fleeting online trends. Imagine Miranda Priestly standing across the table from a 20-something influencer who claims to know fashion better than she does. That tension, that generational clash is exactly what the cameras are capturing right now. And while the cast reunions are thrilling, The energy behind the scenes is even more electrifying. Emily Blunt, spotted leaving a film studio in London, reportedly said this sequel has higher stakes and sharper claws. Stanley Tucci, returning as Nigel, teased in an interview that the old family is back together, but nothing feels the same. Even crew members sworn to secrecy have whispered that the sets are bigger, darker, and dripping with drama. The secrecy has become part of the show. Extras have been asked to sign ironclad agreements. Camera crews have been spotted working odd hours, sometimes at midnight, sometimes at dawn. Filming isn't happening in predictable patterns. It's moving like Miranda herself, calculated, unpredictable, and always ahead of expectations. But perhaps the most exciting part is the hint of new dynamics. Insiders claim a pivotal scene has already been shot in Milan, one involving Miranda, Andy, and Emily, all in the same room for the first time in years. Witnesses described the atmosphere as electric, with tension so thick you could feel it in the silence between takes. Whatever was filmed, it's being guarded like treasure. So far, not a single official still has been released by the studio. Everything we know comes from fleeting photos, whispers, and leaks. And maybe that's the point. The production seems to understand that The Devil Wears Prada 2 doesn't need flashy announcements. It needs mystery. It needs us to lean in, desperate for more. Filming isn't just creating a movie, it's building a storm. A storm of speculation, excitement, and anticipation. Every photo, every rumor, every secret set piece adds fuel to the fire. And when the curtain finally lifts, audiences won't just see a sequel. They'll witness the rebirth of a legend. What happens when the queen of fashion faces a world that no longer bows to her rules? That is the question at the heart of The Devil Wears Prada 2. The original film showed us the cost of power, how Miranda Priestly ruled with precision, and how Andy Sachs had to choose between ambition and herself. But this time, the game has changed. Fashion is no longer dictated by glossy magazine covers or hushed runway invitations. It's dictated by the internet, by viral moments, by followers and clicks. The battlefield isn't just New York. It's global, digital, and ruthless. Insiders whisper that the sequel's story begins with a fall from grace. Miranda, once untouchable, is forced to confront the crumbling empire of runway. The magazine that once defined taste is now struggling in a world where a TikTok influencer can sell more clothes than a 30-page spread. For the first time, Miranda must fight to stay relevant. But don't mistake this for weakness. The same icy fire that made her unstoppable hasn't gone out. It's burning hotter than ever. And this time, she isn't just defending a magazine. She's defending her legacy. Andy's return is just as fascinating. No longer the wide-eyed assistant desperate to impress. Andy is said to have built her own empire, independent, powerful, and respected. Some reports suggest she has carved a career in digital media, blending journalism with influence, making her both a voice and a brand. But power comes with pressure, and Andy may find herself standing across the battlefield from Miranda, not beside her. Could the student become the rival? Could Andy be forced to make the very choices she once walked away from? That tension alone is enough to ignite the story. And then there's Emily. Once the frantic assistant obsessed with Paris Fashion Week, she is now rumored to hold a new position of power, someone who has climbed higher than anyone thought possible. Some insiders say she is Miranda's right hand once again, this time not as a struggling assistant, but as a formidable partner. Others suggest Emily may be caught in the middle, torn between loyalty to Miranda and envy of Andy. Either way, her role promises to be sharper, funnier, and more dangerous than ever before. But it's the new blood that raises the stakes. Casting leaks point to the introduction of young disruptors, characters who grew up in a world where Miranda's power was legend but not law. These new players are ruthless in their own way, armed with algorithms, live-stream audiences, and an army of followers. They don't worship Miranda, they challenge her. And that friction sets up scenes of explosive drama. Imagine the iconic Miranda Priestly walking into a boardroom where her opinion doesn't trend. Imagine her sitting across from a billionaire influencer who believes they can outstyle her. The sequel promises to pit tradition against innovation, elegance against speed, timeless fashion against disposable trends. Leaked whispers of scenes only add fuel to the fire. One describes a private fashion show staged in Paris at midnight, where Miranda makes her entrance in a gown that silences the room. Proof that true style still commands respect. Another describes Andy and Miranda locked in a quiet but devastating argument, the kind of scene where no one raises their voice, yet every word feels like a blade. And perhaps the most talked about rumor, a runway showdown where Emily steps forward, no longer an observer but a player, shocking everyone with a move that could change the power dynamic forever. What makes these scenes so thrilling isn't just the spectacle, it's the emotion beneath it all. The Devil Wears Prada 2 isn't about fashion alone, it's about survival in a changing world. It's about pride, betrayal, ambition, and the painful truth that power never stands still. Characters evolve, empires crumble, and even devils must fight to keep their crowns. So as the cameras roll and the whispers spread, one thing is clear. The sequel isn't just giving fans more of the same. It's daring to ask a bigger question. What happens when the devil herself is forced to adapt? And will she rise or will she finally fall? The lights fade. The music begins with a single low note, steady, haunting like the sound of footsteps echoing down an empty hallway. Then the first shot. A pair of heels, sharp and flawless, striking against marble floors. We don't see the face yet. We don't have to. The world already knows who walks this way. The rumored trailer for The Devil Wears Prada 2 wastes no time pulling us back into Miranda Priestly's orbit. The opening sequence, described by those who claim to have seen it, is simple but devastating. A white coat, a silver clutch, and a door slamming shut. Then silence. A silence only Miranda can make terrifying. It's not just an entrance, it's a warning. She's back and nothing will ever be the same. Cut to Andy. No longer the nervous assistant fumbling with lattes. Andy is now seen standing in front of a massive digital screen filled with scrolling headlines and social media feeds. Her expression? Calm but commanding. The trailer suggests that Andy's journey has taken her into a world Miranda once dismissed, the online frontier of fashion. A brief shot shows her addressing a crowded auditorium, dressed in bold colors, confident and unshaken. It's the perfect contrast to the Andy we once knew. The message is clear, she has power now, and perhaps even the courage to face Miranda head-on. Then comes Emily. A quick flash, a door opens, and Emily Blunt's character storms in. Draped in emerald green, her face sharper, harder, and far more self-assured. In one leaked description, Emily is heard saying, "I don't fetch coats anymore. I choose who wears them." If true, this single line could set the tone for her entire arc. Emily no longer plays the sidekick. She's a force of her own. The trailer seems to revel in this triangle of power. Quick cuts show Miranda seated at the head of a long boardroom table, Andy on the opposite end and Emily caught somewhere in between. The tension is electric even in silence. And then the music shifts, rising strings, sharp drum beats, flashes of chaos. A runway blinding with lights, models in impossible gowns, photographers screaming, and there, walking slowly down the runway, a figure in shadow. Some say it's Miranda herself making a rare public statement. Others claim it's a new character, an influencer, a rival, someone bold enough to step into Miranda's arena. The trailer doesn't reveal the truth. It leaves the audience hungry, desperate for answers. One of the most chilling moments, according to fan reports, comes near the end of the trailer. Andy and Miranda, alone in a quiet office, separated by nothing but a glass table. Miranda's voice cuts through the silence. Power doesn't disappear. It changes hands, then black screen. No music, no resolution. Just those words hanging heavy in the dark, before the title card crashes onto the screen. The Devil Wears Prada 2. If these descriptions are true, the trailer isn't just teasing a sequel. It's setting up a war. Miranda versus the digital age. Andy versus her old mentor. Emily versus both of them, or perhaps even herself. Every frame feels like a battle cry. And just like the first film, it's not about shouting or spectacle or over-the-top drama. It's about the silences, the glances, the unspoken threats that cut deeper than any insult ever could. The beauty of this rumored trailer is how little it gives away while saying everything. We don't need to see the whole story to know what's coming. The fragments are enough. A slammed door, a defiant stare, a whispered line that sends shivers down your spine. That's all Miranda Priestly has ever needed. Small gestures that echo louder than thunder.